be either criticism, just a lost episode. I'm trying to prepare. I forgot the word. I'm trying I don't remember how to say this. I'm trying to make a master degree course in Brazil, and well, the selection, the process is not so easy. They're saying the proficiency language test is not so easy. Maybe I'm not going to pass this year. Who knows when? Submit. Yeah, I'm in the process to submit the whole submission. But anyway, let's be happy. Let's reach Cgtn. I don't know what the hell is this. Let's see what the hell is this. Discover World Arena in the Explored. Yeah, this is a game on Cgtn app. Let's log in, but I don't have a login. Welcome to Cgtn. Oh, thank you. I'm not sure if I never understood if it's safe or not to give your password to any app. I'm signing in now. A valid password. Maybe I'm not. Here we go. Creating a password now. No, it's not a matter of not trust, not rely on Cgtn, but if they know your password, why not? They will control, because I don't have a credit card. That's why I'm safe. I don't have a credit card. Oh, some babies skating, roller skating. Oh, I guess roller skating is not safe, because the ground is not so safe. And rollers in general, well, it's taking me just too much time here. I'm giving up, I'm giving up. I'm just going to want to read my news. I don't know what the hell was this. This was a game, but not this time. It's not happening. I give up on this game. Yeah, welcome to Cgtn. What? Give me my news, please. Just my news. So yeah, I'm in the process to submit a selection process. I forgot. I want a subscription. I don't have the vocabulary in English to. Well, I want to be a master's degree student. This is not so easy. It's not so easy. And here we go. Politics. Unboxing economic policy tools. What's behind China's latest CPC leadership meeting? 4 minutes. April 25, 2025. And there's a photograph. A view of Nanjing Road pedestrian street in East China's Shanghai March 8. China's economy delivered a strong start in the first quarter of the year, demonstrating steady performance and resilience. The country's GDP grew 5.4% year-on-year to 31.8758 trillion yuan, about $2.44 trillion in the first quarter of 2025, ranking among the highest of the world's major economies and positioning the country to better weather global uncertainties. During a meeting held by the Political Bureau of the Communist Party of China Central Committee on Friday, the Chinese leadership analyzed and studied the current economic situation and economic work, noting that the country has seen its economy improve this year, with public confidence continuously boosted and solid progress made in high-quality development. The meeting called for efforts to accelerate the implementation of more proactive and effective macro policies and boost service consumption to strengthen the role of consumption in driving economic growth. More proactive, effective macro policies. Besides the GDP, China has seen other economic indicators exceeding market expectations in the first quarter. For example, fixed asset investment went up 4.2% year-on-year, with investment in infrastructure construction rising 5.8% and manufacturing investment increasing 9.1%. Thanks to policy support, local level responsiveness, and the rapid build-up of innovation-driven momentum, the country's economy showcases strong resilience and potential. China has made thorough policy preparations to address external changes as a series of target macro policies have already taken effect, and more incremental policies will be introduced as needed to mitigate external shocks. This is the entertainment square. Friday's meeting called for efforts to make full use of the more proactive fiscal policy and moderately loose monetary policy, coordinate domestic economic work and endeavors in the international economic and trade field. Unswervingly, I don't know this word, unswervingly manage the country's own affairs well and keep employment, businesses, markets, and expectations stable. Luo Shiheng, chief economist at UK Securities, said efforts should be made to make good use of aggregate and structural policy tools. Could the reserve requirement ratios and interest rates when appropriate and boost consumption and corporate investment demand. And there's a photograph. People shop at the special area for foreign trade premium products at a supermarket in Hangzhou, East China's Zhejiang province. A multi-pronged approach for struggling enterprises. To aid businesses facing challenges, the meeting urged a multi-pronged approach, including stronger financial support and accelerating integration between domestic and foreign trade development. Stressing the need to ensure people's livelihood, it said that for enterprises that suffer relatively bigger impacts from tariffs, the proportion of unemployment insurance funds returned to enterprises to keep payrolls stable will be increased. Amid recent U.S. tariff hikes, China's foreign trade enterprises are actively responding with innovative products, seizing orders, and expanding markets. The country has also taken swift and proactive measures to cope with tariff shocks, reaching out to broader overseas markets while bolstering domestic sales channels with upgraded products. Bai Wenxi, vice chairman of the China Enterprise Capital Alliance, urged the use of policies such as financial support and consumption coupon subsidies to further support foreign trade enterprises and continue to increase financial subsidies for export to domestic enterprises. It says a view of the 137th China Import and Export Fair in Guangzhou, South China's Guangdong province, April 2025. Boosting service consumption. Friday's meeting also highlighted the need to boost service consumption, urging a swift removal of restrictive measures in the consumption sector and proposing to introduce a re-lending facility for service consumption and elderly care. Service consumption has gradually become a new engine of economic growth and an important area for tapping consumption potential. In the first quarter of 2025, retail sales of consumer goods, a major indicator of the country's consumption strength, gained 4.6% year-on-year, supported by target policies to boost consumption. Service-related spending also picked up pace. In the first quarter, retail sales of services grew 5% year-on-year. In addition, a series of documents to boost service consumption are implemented intensively. For instance, Chinese authorities have unveiled a work plan to boost service consumption in 2025 and released a series of new measures aimed at expanding and upgrading consumption in the domestic services sector as part of broader efforts to stimulate domestic demand. A report released by a think tank, the China Institute for Reform and Development, forecasts that by 2030, the per capita services consumption of China's urban and rural residents could exceed 20,000 yuan, accounting for more than half of total consumption. Services consumption has become a propeller of goods consumption, and quote, goods like services, end quote, trend is gaining momentum across the country, said Xi Fuling, head of the think tank. That was the first news from the top 5 from the highlights. The second news is about China's Shenzhou 20 crew enters space station, meets Shenzhou 19 crew. It's interesting, China is leading the space exploration. Going to read the third one. Politics, April 25, 2025. Is a huge news. 4 minutes news. US tariff aftershocks, rising unemployment, soaring debt, and weakened dollar. Yeah, very interesting analysis, I guess. Great subject, and the photograph shows U.S. President Donald Trump speaks during a meeting in the Oval Office of the White House in Washington, D.C., U.S. April yesterday, 2024. U.S. tariffs are causing more severe economic consequences. Unemployment rates and consumer debt are expected to surge. Higher prices and the strained job market are putting considerable pressure on American households and small businesses. Federal Reserve Governor Christopher Waller said on Thursday that firms may begin laying off more workers if aggressive tariff levels are reinstated by the U.S. President Donald Trump's administration. Quote, "It wouldn't surprise me that you might start seeing more layoffs, tick up in the unemployment rate going forward if the big tariffs in particular come back on." End quote. Waller said in an interview with Bloomberg, quote, "I will expect more rate cuts, and sooner, once I started seeing some serious deterioration in the labor market," end quote. Waller also emphasized that if the labor market worsens further, additional rate cuts will likely follow, which sets him apart from Fed Chair Jerome Powell, who has cautioned about cutting rates, saying that might lead to persistent inflation. Rising prices to aggravate Americans' debt burden. Beyond job losses, the Trump-initiated tariff war has been driving up prices, adding the financial strain on American consumers. According to Bankrate's 2025 credit card debt report, 48% of Americans with credit card debt wouldn't pay off their balances in full by the due date in November last year, up from 2024 for 44% in January. Among those struggling with credit card debt, 53% had been carrying it for over a year. As of the end of last year, U.S. credit card debt reached a historic high of $1.21 trillion, according to a recent report from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, a 4% increase from the previous year. On average, U.S. households now carry about $6,600 in credit card debt. It also revealed that 11.12% of cardholders were making just the minimum payment, up from 10.65% in 2023 and 9.91% in 2022. Experts warned that only paying the minimum will keep one in debt much longer. Ted Rosman, a senior industry analyst at Bankrate, pointed out that with an average credit card balance of around $6,600, a 20% interest rate, and only making the minimum payment means paying off debt over 18 years with nearly $110,000 in interest charges. Experts are increasingly concerned that the price hikes caused by tariff policies will only worsen Americans' debt crisis. Rosman said that rising costs for housing, healthcare, food, and childcare are squeezing people's disposable incomes to breaking point. Rod Griffin, Senior Director of Public Education and Advocacy at Experian, said that credit card debt is the highest cost debt for most American households. And if people only pay off the minimum payment, they will drop into an ever deepening debt spiral. Erratic tariff policies weaken dollar. Meanwhile, Trump's erratic tariff policies have also shaken global confidence in the US dollar, long regarded as the world's most reliable reserve currency. With the escalation of tariffs and no clear signs of an off-ramp, many investors have been selling off US dollars and flocking to safer assets like the Japanese yen, Swiss franc, and gold. On April 11, the US 10-year Treasury yield added 5.8 basis points, rising sharply to 4.58%, marking the largest weekly increase since 2001. As investors reassess the prospects for higher inflation and weaker growth over a longer horizon. Ray Atril, head of foreign exchange strategy at the National Australia Bank, noted that Trump's tariff policies are undermining the US dollar's role as a reserve currency. Quote, the US almost overnight, it seems to have lost its safe haven attributes, end quote, he said. Despite these mounting navigate effects, Trump said Wednesday that he could reimpose quote-unquote reciprocal tariffs on some countries in as soon as 2 or 3 weeks, potentially escalating the global trade war even further. CNN reported, quote, Trump's back and forth stance on tariffs has caused incredible uncertainty for businesses and consumers. It has also shaken markets, sending stocks and U.S. assets tumbling, end quote. The Wall Street Journal noted that Trump's moves have been met with broad protests, court challenges, dipping poll numbers, and political opposition. And the one force that could force him to back down is Wall Street, as the president sees the markets as an important barometer of people's opinion of life and the financial world, which pulls in opposite direction with Trump's goals of reshoring American manufacturing through stiff tariffs. The report indicated that Trump's contradicted dual goals of driving market gains and bringing back the manufacturing industry could make market volatility a new norm for investors. The very last one says something about Pakistan-India conflict, as Pepe Escobar said. Politics, April 25, 2025. China-Vietnam Coast Guards complete joint patrol in Beibut Gulf. Chinese and Vietnamese Coast Guards complete their first joint patrol in the Beibut Gulf for 2025. Chinese and Vietnamese Coast Guards have completed their first joint patrol for 2025 in the Beibu Gulf. The 29th joint patrol conducted by the two countries' maritime law enforcement agencies since 2006, the China Coast Guard (CCCG) said Friday. The three-day joint patrol wrapped up on Thursday, during which Chinese and Vietnamese Coast Guard ships observed and inspected fishing boats from both countries while patrolling along planned routes in the waters. The two sides also carried out a joint maritime search and rescue exercise, and enhancing bilateral coordination and emergency response capabilities, the CCG said. Conducted twice a year, the joint patrols by the Chinese and Vietnamese Coast Guards in the Beibu Gulf have become a model for maritime law enforcement cooperation in the South China Sea, the CCG noted. They have played a constructive role in conserving fishery resources, maintaining order in fishing activities, combating maritime crime, and promoting regional security and stability, source Xinhua News Agency. And that's it by now. I know that I'm just going to read the very last one, the very last headline. Says Pakistan hits back after India tightens measures over Kashmir attack. India and Pakistan are fighting again, but I guess this is not so important for me because India is always a wild card. So I guess this don't interfere with my plans to live in Hainan, happy forever. Hainan, my promised land.